Here we have the current stock market update for NVIDIA Corporation, stock ticker NVDA. Before we begin with this chart analysis, if you find this educational material to be helpful in your trading, please remember to click the like and subscribe buttons and leave your thoughts below in the comments section so that other traders will be able to find this information more easily on the platform. So here we have the 45-minute price chart. Each candlestick on this time frame represents a 45-minute trading period. And as we can see here, we're starting to roll over once again into the end of the week. The price movement here is a bit interesting because what we're starting to see here is a bit of a price failure in advance of a prior resistance zone coming in at 120.79. This is a price level that we have been watching quite closely over the last few videos, because what could be happening here potentially is that a head and shoulders pattern is starting to form on these roughly 1 hour time frames. So here we can see the left shoulder, the head of the pattern, and then the right shoulder of the pattern. The overall size of this pattern is very large, and the distance between the neckline is over $30. So if we were to see a confirmation of this pattern and a break lower, the ultimate projection would actually put prices into the lower 70s, which is probably hard to believe for many traders. So as things currently stand, we're sort of trying to watch here to see whether or not this pattern actually unfolds. And currently what we're seeing at the moment is a bit of a price rejection once again in advance of roughly $120 per share. The near-term high currently comes in at 119.66, and this is a slight breach of the prior resistance high, which was posted during the September 17 trading session. Here we can see that this level came in at 116.78, so we are seeing a bit of a breach here and a bit of a higher high, but at the same time, we're also seeing a bit of a stalling formation here that's occurring right ahead of this more important resistance level just below 180. So if we move into the price chart here a bit, we can see that we're starting to roll over here just in advance of that 120 mark, and share prices are now trading back inside of the exponential moving average cluster. Overall, this is not a huge concern, because what we're starting to see here with these moving averages is that the overall, the distance between these exponential moving averages is starting to close quite rapidly and tighten. So when you see that type of event, it does become much easier for share prices to break above or below that formation. So breaks to the top side or to the downside tend to be less significant or less impactful as far as developing trends at a later point. This is not exactly true, in cases where the moving average distance is much larger, as we can see here. And when this occurs, when you do start to see upside breaks, in those cases, the resulting trend wave movements tend to be much more forceful. So, the real question here is where we close the week. At the moment, we're trading at 117.18. So it's starting to look as though we're not going to be able to reclaim that 120 mark into the Friday close. Of course, it's still very early in the day, so it's possible that we will be able to do this. But I think that this is going to be a critical close here, because this is the Friday session, which means that the daily close is also the weekly close. And if we're not able to close above this 120.80 level, this does suggest that we could be in store for a period of weakness here into next week. At the very least, what I would start to expect here, if we do actually see a failure to close above 120, I would expect to, at the very least, start to see a period of sideways consolidation. So sort of a neutral outlook here to start the week. And I think that most likely next week could be a bit directionless, with possibly some choppy trading conditions, which means that support or resistance levels could start to break. And that might not necessarily mean that a trend wave movement would be resulting from those breaking points. So, if this does start to result in a failure here, we will have to start to look at this most recent trend wave as being the most dominant trend wave movement. And we will start to look at Fibonacci retracement analysis that is based on the lows coming in at $100.95, stretching to those highs coming in at 120.79. If we pull out to the indicator reading here, we can see that there is still some positive momentum that is influencing this stock. So for the moment, what we can see is that the share price reading, the reading in the relative strength index, comes in with some positive trend developments that have been in place since roughly the beginning of this month, so roughly September 3rd. And we can see that this trend line here has now been tested on 4 separate occasions. The indicator itself is trading right near the midpoint of the histogram. So as we can see, the relative strength index reading itself is coming in right around 40, 49.6, 49.7. So, this is very much a neutral reading at this point, and this does suggest that we really could be in store for a period of sideways consolidation. With the indicator reading trading at these midpoint levels, however, there's also a possibility here for fairly extreme price movement in both directions. So, in other words, you would have a lot of room here to extend before share prices were to become oversold or overbought. So, we don't really have a signal here from this at the moment, other than to say that the broader momentum reading has remained positive here. But if we do start to see a trend wave breakout here, there is some potential here for some fairly strong movement in share prices. Longer term, we can see that the indicator reading on the 4-hour price chart is also heavily bearish. This does sort of fall in line, more in line, I should say, with this potential head and shoulders pattern that could be forming on these intermediate term timeframes. So this is one factor that is going to have to be watched here going forward. Uh, Interestingly, the indicator reading on the 4-hour time frame is also trading at roughly mid levels. So all this does seem to point to a period of sideways consolidation heading into next week, even though these broader trends here do seem to be pointed in the downward direction. Overall, I do think this places the focus squarely on a trading range that does seem to be developing right around 119.66 to 113.24. So if we do ultimately see a break of this trading range in one direction or another, I think that this ultimately gives us our next sort of trend wave movement scenario. To the downside, it does currently look like there's a fair bit more room to extend in the lower direction, because even if we do break above this 119.66 resistance zone, we do have another area of critical resistance that's found just over $1 above that area. So, to the downside, if we were to break below 113.24, we could easily be looking at a retest of this price zone here, which comes in right around the 110 area. So this would be an area of resistance now expected to be working as support. So here's the current stock market update for NVIDIA Corporation, stock ticker NVDA. Our high value trading strategies membership is currently available for a limited time for only $9.99 per month. These high conviction investment strategies are characterized by superior risk to reward metrics that target massive market beating returns over time. Join now to outperform the market. Lock in this special introductory rate of just $9.99 per month for the entire lifetime of your membership and start trading stocks with the pros.